in a lot of ways. Has anybody forensically examined these machines since the election?
Fox News host Sean Hannity admitted under oath, and this is now just being revealed, that he did not believe any of Donald Trump's election lies, despite the fact that he used his show to platform them. So I'm going to get to a clip with an example of that in a second here, but this comes from a piece from the New York Times titled, "In Testimony, Hannity and Other Fox Employees," and I'll get to who else is named here, said they doubted Trump's fraud claims. On Wednesday, lawyers for Dominion Voting Systems shared some of the strongest evidence yet that some Fox employees knew what they broadcast about the claims was false. So this is around Dominion Voting Systems attempting to move forward with a defamation case against Fox News around Fox's lies, around how these voting machines were being used to rig the election for Joe Biden over Trump. Of course, all bullshit. And even though Fox platformed a lot of this garbage at the time, they knew while they were doing it that they were lying. So the first example, the main example they use here is Sean Hannity. So they write here, at the center of this imagined plot were machines from Dominion Voting Systems, which Ms. Powell, one of the lawyers representing Donald Trump, claimed ran an algorithm that switched votes for Trump to votes for Biden. She insisted were being used, or these machines she insisted were being used to trash large batches of votes. I'll get to this clip. It's so crazy in case you missed it. Mr. Hannity interrupted her with a gentle question that had been circulating among election deniers, despite a lack of supporting proof. Why were Democrats silencing whistleblowers who could prove this fraud? Did Mr. Hannity believe any of it? I did not believe it for 1 second. So I'll get to more here from the piece, but let me show you this clip. So starts about here, and you're going to hear Sidney Powell, her bullshit here, and then Sean Hannity will come in with his comments.
The machine ran an algorithm that shaved votes from Trump and awarded them to Biden. They used the machines to trash large batches of votes that should have been awarded to President Trump. And they used the machine to inject and add massive quantities of votes for Mr. Biden. The only reason we really found out how bad it was.
I thought Democrats told us that we like whistleblowers. You're saying that these people can't talk because they're going to lose their job. I would think that they get protection.
They're going to lose their job. Their lives have been threatened. One witness we know of got beaten up and is in the hospital. There have been all kinds of repercussions against people who have come forward to tell the truth. And no, Democrats don't like whistleblowers. They only like liars who claim they're whistleblowers.
They like hearsay whistleblowers.
All bullshit. Now, Sean Hannity, if he was telling the truth on air, would be pushing back here against Sidney Powell and her garbage and trying to find out where is any proof of this at all. But instead, he is using this opportunity to try and attack Democrats for not supporting whistleblowers, even though he knew at the time this was all shit. So New York Times goes on to write here, that was the answer Mr. Hannity gave under oath in the deposition in Dominion's $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against Fox News, according to information disclosed in a court hearing on Wednesday. The hearing was called to address several issues that need to be resolved before the case heads for a jury trial, which the judge has scheduled to begin in April. Mr. Hannity's disclosure, along with others that emerged from the court on Wednesday about what Fox News executives and hosts really believed as their network became one of the loudest megaphones for lies about the election, is among the strongest evidence yet to emerge publicly that some Fox employees knew what they were broadcasting was false. The high legal standard for proof in defamation cases makes it difficult for a company like Dominion to prevail against a media organization like Fox News. Dominion has to persuade a jury that people at Fox were in fact saying one thing in private while telling their audience exactly the opposite. And that requires showing a jury convincing evidence that speaks to the state of mind of those who were making the decisions at the network. And I think they have the evidence. I mean, we just saw it. He didn't push back on Sidney Powell. He used this opportunity to attack Democrats in not supporting whistleblowers that were apparently at the center of this story. So Hannity isn't the only one mentioned here. Many of the highest-ranking Fox people have admitted under oath that they never believed the Dominion lies, he said, naming both Ms. Cooper and Mr. Carlson. So Tucker Carlson, of course, and Cooper, it refers to Meade Cooper, who oversees primetime programming for Fox News. Mr. Shackelford described how Mr. Carlson, Shackelford being a lawyer for Dominion, described how Carlson had tried to squirm out of it at his deposition when asked about what he really believed. Mr. Shackelford started to elaborate about what Mr. Carlson had said privately, telling the judge about the existence of the text messages the host had sent in November and December of 2020, but the judge, Eric M. Davis, cut him off, leaving the specific contents of those texts unknown. So a lot of this stuff apparently cannot be released in terms of the video. The depositions apparently cannot be released publicly. That was decided by the judge, but they can still discuss it without any issues, and that's why we're hearing some of this come out now. But this also goes to how this, of course, isn't new. This shouldn't be surprising. A lot of the hosts on Fox, look, there are true believers. I do think Sean Hannity generally is a true believer, but when it comes to something so blatant like lies around the election, of course he knew it was bullshit, and a lot of the hosts know what they do is bullshit, which is why even legally, as a defense, they use the fact that they lie as their defense. So this piece from a couple years ago, you literally can't believe the facts Tucker Carlson tells you, so says Fox's lawyers. So this was around a case around Tucker, and he was being accused of slander. Here it is. So it's being made by a federal judge in the Southern District of New York and Fox News' own lawyers in defending Carlson against accusations of slander. It worked, by the way. So them saying that, well, you can't believe what Tucker says on air, that was the defense that Fox's lawyers used against accusations of slander, and they were successful with that defense. And this is public knowledge. This has been out for years, and yet still Tucker Carlson, the #1 rated primetime host in cable news, the most watched individual on television in news, Tucker, who has admitted, his lawyers admit to him being full of shit. So just a little more here. Just read U.S. District Judge Mary Kay Visgossel's opinion, leaning heavily on the arguments of Fox's lawyers. The general tenor of the show should then inform a viewer that Carlson is not stating, this is his lawyers, Carlson is not stating actual facts about the topics he discusses, and is instead engaging in exaggeration and non-literal commentary. She wrote, Fox persuasively argues that given Mr. Carlson's reputation, any reasonable viewer arrives with an appropriate amount of skepticism about the statement he makes. So they're basically saying, if you believe what Tucker Carlson is selling, then you're a moron, because any reasonable viewer would arrive with the skepticism about his statements. Like, there's nothing left to say about Fox News. They know they're lying. They've admitted to lying. They use it as a defense. They've won with that defense, meaning that it's secure, that they are right in their assessment that these hosts are lying. Yet still, the audience that they bring, the people that actually believe the shit they say, it's depressing. But I don't like this isn't just to, anyone coming at this video and not knowing that I criticize all media, not just Fox News. Yes, of course, hosts and other networks as well. I don't think they don't lie like about election results. That is just a clear, blatant lie. But yes, there are other lies made, or not even necessarily lies, but framing around issues are always very pro-corporate, very pro-status quo, very anti-working class. That, of course, is a consistent issue, especially on CNN, but also on MSNBC, at least for most of the hosts. And that continues to be a problem as well. But when it comes to, the worst of the worst in terms of at least cable news, Fox is up there, and it is unbelievable the amount of people that listen to this trash and still believe what they're saying.